Roll call.
Donations.
Bill Fire, Robin.
Steve Cooper.
We have a quorum. Item 1. Dennis, you want to explain what is...
Any conflicts of interest? Any conflicts of interest? Do we have any
Yes, is there any conflicts of interest?
Here, wait a minute.
Hearing no conflicts of interest, let's move on to Rangers 35-1NS. Dennis, you want to fill us in?
Okay,
go ahead, Dennis.
so I have Tony Hines on the line. The background is that the Ranger 31NS Navajo Springs, this is one of the wells that is on O'Neill property that requires a little special handling as far as land rights. Permit number 1227 was originally permitted back in June 13th. It expired December 20th, and Ranger is before us here today asking for another extension for this permit. It would be 180 days. The proposed extension permit date would be to June 8th. And Tony, could you please briefly explain the background to this well and what you're precisely asking for?
Yeah, this is Tony Hines with Ranger Development. Appreciate y'all having this emergency call for us. We had our drilling contractor in October and November was out doing works in the field, and then he had some equipment problems that rolled up in at the first part of December, and he was not able to move over and start the drilling of the 34-1 well. And we dropped the ball, honestly, on our side and didn't really realize that our permit was expiring. And so he finally got his equipment problems and things worked around, and we moved on to the location starting at the end of January. And Dennis pointed out to us that our permit had expired, so we're asking you to please extend that permit so that we can go ahead and drill the 34-1 Navajo Springs well.
Frank Thorwald here. Rick, does this require an extension, or do we have to issue a new permit since the previous one expired?
I was just going to quote some rules. Everybody can stay awake here for a minute. Under R 127104D, unless operations are commenced within 180 days after date of approval, the permit to drill shall become null and void unless an extension in writing is granted by the Commission, which is the purpose of the meeting today, is for a vote to extend for 180 days, which will then result in a writing approving an extension.
Okay, let me ask that question again in a different way. Since it has expired, do we need to, can we make it retroactive, the extension, or do we need to issue a new permit and not an extension?
I think you can extend the old permit. The rule is somewhat vague, because although it's null and void, it does allow, the wording is, unless an extension in writing is granted by the Commission. It doesn't set a time limitation of either before or after actual ending of the period. Based upon my reading, I think you can grant an extension afterwards, as long as it is by a Commission in writing.
Does it need to be from the date that the prior one expired, or does it need to go from the current date?
Does not say within rule.
So
What do you recommend?
My recommendation is you extend it from the previous date of expiration so that it ends
June 8th.
It would end June 8th, which would be an extension from
180 days from the 13th of December.
180 days from the 13th of December, basically. That's my suggestion, so that Ranger does not end up with additional time other than as approved by the Commission with that 180 days, and we move forward in that manner. That is my suggestion.
And this is consistent with what we did also for Ranger a year ago in extending the Ranger 9-1 PDS, I think it was, that permit has since expired again, but that's not what we're talking about today. But I'm just letting you know that this is consistent with the pattern we did with the first ranger extension. And again, I gave him 180 days from his expiration date last time.
Commissioners, is there any discussion on this?
Yeah, I have a comment. This is Dale. I'm not happy with this, the way these things are going. We issued, as I recall, multiple permits for Ranger for a number of wells, so they could plan to go ahead and develop their program as, you know, efficiently. But that, to me, means that they have a responsibility to meet the requirements for, you know, meeting the expiration dates and any reports, any production reports that are necessary for these wells. So I'm going to vote yes to extend this, because I think it would be a silly thing to not do it. But I don't want this to keep going on this way. And so, Tony, I'm speaking directly to you, I guess, that I want to see a report of all of the permits that we've granted and see a status report of all of them, so to keep you in touch with what's happening. Is that possible?
Definitely, yes, we appreciate that. And yes, we did drop the ball on this, but I will get you that report on the status on everything.
Yeah, and I want to get a copy to myself. It should go to the commission, but I want to see the one. I want to see it myself also before the next meeting we have.
Do we have a motion? Or are we done with discussion?
Any other discussion first?
Yes, I have a comment. Tony and I have already started working together to put together that documentation that Dr. Nations is asking about. And I'm glad that he's asked for a copy of it. It's my thought that I probably should share the whole thing with you as preparation for the next meeting, because there are a number of other issues that Ranger is going to need to have addressed by the commission, and I'm going to provide you as much background as I can before the next meeting. So Tony and I are already working on documentation for that.
Any additional discussion? Do I hear a motion?
I move the approval of the extension of this permit for 180 days to expire on June 8th, 2019.
I make a second.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Any abstention? Any nay? The motion carries. Let's see.
Need a motion to adjourn, Frank.
Well, no. I was just checking. Is there anything else that we need to talk about while we're together?
It's not on the agenda.
Can't do it, Frank, because it's not on the agenda.
That's right. You're right. Okay.
I hate to be a stickler.
A motion to adjourn.
I move we adjourn.
Second that motion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned.
Gentlemen, thank you very much.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Adios.